by Choi Sung-jinTwo. Weeks after the breakdown of the second U.S. North Korea summit, arguments are continuing over how to view it, why it ended as it did, and what to do to revive it. The meeting between Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un in Hanoi, February 27 and 28, was no doubt a failure as the two leaders went home empty-handed. If anything, however, North Korea seemed to be the bigger loser because the much-awaited easing of sanctions will not come, at least in the near future, further squeezing its economy. That may also explain why most U.S. officials, in a rare bipartisan move, praised their president for walking out. No deal is better than a bad deal, they said. The abortive second summit showed the two sides could not agree even on a limited deal, in part because of the difference of views over the extent of denuclearization and corresponding rewards. Or Trump, breaking the precedent, might have rejected the working group step-by-step formula and opted for a package deal, probably because his political crisis at home called for something far bigger than a partial deal. After all, time has always been on the U.S. side throughout the decades-long North Korean nuclear crisis. Only, the North has used the period for enlarging and developing its atomic arsenal, fixing its status as a de facto nuclear power. The vicious circle appears to continue. According to media reports, North Korea kept expanding its nuclear arsenal during the 8-month interval between the first and second summits. Now the reclusive regime is reportedly toying with the idea to resume the launch of its long-range rockets, i.e., the intercontinental ballistic missiles that could reach the continental U.S. Trump expressed his disappointment with each report, and his national security advisor John Bolton said Washington is watching North Korea inch by inch and with unblinking eyes. It seemed strange in this regard that the South Korean government even played up, the unconfirmed reports of Pyongyang's move, seemingly jeopardizing the already imperiled dialogue. On the other hand, President Moon Jae-in is moving to replace his unification minister with Kim Ye-in-chul, an advocate for active engagement with North Korea. What could be on the mind of Moon, as the mediator between Trump and Kim? One hint lies in Moon's recent instruction to push ahead with inter-Korean economic projects within bounds that do not violate the UN sanctions. Moon's direction was noteworthy as it came right after Washington flatly said no to the idea of resuming South Korean tours to Mount Jeomgang in North Korea and reopening a joint factory park in Kaesong, a city just north of the inter-Korean border. Moon appears to think the resumption of cooperative projects between the two Koreas would deprive Pyongyang of excuses for more provocations. His nomination of the new unification minister may also be aimed at facilitating South-North exchanges in keeping with the denuclearizing process. If so, Moon should persuade his U.S. counterpart about the need for inter-Korean economic cooperation. He also needs to face down Trump's hardline aides, including Bolton. It's hard to know how the hawkish National Security Advisor has got his boss ear. However, the longer the current impasse continues, the more remote the resolution of the North Korean nuclear issue will become. If Trump really wants a solution, he should keep a distance from Bolton, not because the mustached aide is a hardliner but because his all-or-nothing approach will not work. Seeking a big package deal will bring things back to the pre-Singaporean situation, if not the days of Barack Obama. Anyone who wants a solution should know by now it ought to be denuclearization through peace, not peace through denuclearization. Unfortunately, as seen by Pyongyang's saber-rattling and Washington's angry reaction of ruling out the phase deal, the situation is going in the opposite direction. Yes, small deals through a gradual, step-by-step approach could take too long and lose momentum in the drawn-out process. Again, however, a lump-sum deal is neither practical nor possible if one understands why the North has developed nuclear weapons as its one and only sort of state that enables the small, impoverished country to stand up to the world's wealthiest and most powerful nation. If a big deal is impossible and a small deal is inefficient, what could be a third solution? Lee Jong-suk, a former unification minister under the late President Roh Moo-hyun, says a medium-sized deal, or a quasi-big deal as he put it, could be the answer. In an article he contributed recently to a local daily, Lee proposed a two-stage approach. In the first stage, North Korea declares a permanent moratorium on nuclear tests and missile launches as well as dismantling all nuclear and rocket facilities, starting with those in Yongbyon, under the joint inspection of the U.S. and other involved nations. In return, Washington eases 5 of the 11 economic sanctions related to people's livelihoods. In the second stage, according to Lee, the North dismantles all nuclear bombs and ICBMs, including the existing ones, and Washington and Pyongyang sign a peace treaty and normalize relations. The North Korea expert also called for a multilateral guarantee to make the two sides abide by the agreement despite possible changes in political power, along with a snapback clause in the case of one side reneging on its duty. That could be one of the plausible scenarios worthy of attempting to keep the current impasse from continuing too long. President Trump asked his South Korean counterpart to mediate between him and Kim Jong-un no fewer than 7 times. President Moon needs to work out a medium deal similar to the one proposed by Lee and Trump while speeding up inter-Korean economic programs. If Trump rejects this formula and adheres to a broadside deal, the solution to North Korea's nuclear problem will be hard to reach within his first term, and his chances for a second one will become that much slimmer. The U.S. leader should go back to the spirit of the Singaporean Declaration and hurry to meet his North Korean counterpart for the third time. Choi Sung-jin is a Korea Times columnist. Contact him at schwaj1955@naver.com.